What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you had a very happy and are continuing to have a very happy Thanksgiving with your family. We are, of course, streaming live. It is our Dallas Cowboys postgame show on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, the Blogging the Boys Facebook page. You can watch us on either one of those platforms. You can always listen to this after the fact on the Blogging the Boys podcast network. If you are watching or if you are listening, you might have noticed that I look and sound a little bit different. My wife, my beautiful, wonderful, perfect wife, gave birth to our son yesterday on Wednesday, November 24th. He is our first child. We are very excited. Mom and baby are doing very well. Thank you to everyone who has tweeted and texted and sent some thoughts. But it's made for a hectic Thanksgiving, obviously, what with the restrictions of our current times. Just a family show that we have going on, my wife, my son, and I. Here at the hospital, that's where I am. I'm outside of the hospital in the car because the Dallas Cowboys don't stop on Thanksgiving Day. And I know that, they lost and it's unfortunate. So it's a little bit of a different post-game show considering that I'm in the car. We don't know exactly how stable the internet is. We don't know exactly how everything's going to go. I'm using my AirPods as opposed to our professional audio equipment. And in the event that my computer or car or whatever decide to completely and totally malfunction, we have brought in one of the very best from bloggingtheboys.com, the Blogging the Boys podcast network. It is Tony Catalina to join me tonight on our Dallas Cowboys postgame show. Tony, first of all, happy Thanksgiving to you, to your family. I hope it went well.
You as well. Happy Thanksgiving. You had a little more of an exciting day than I did. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's been a crazy, at this point, he was born at 8:35 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday, so we're coming up on the 24-hour anniversary of that. Appreciate those of you in the comments and your congratulations. And I will take no offense to your vitriol if you want to start showering it in the comment section. We talk about all the time, Tony. We're here to celebrate. We're here to commiserate regarding the Dallas Cowboys and what happened. The Dallas Cowboys played on Thanksgiving Day against the Las Vegas Raiders. Entering this game, we've been talking about it on our shows, losing 2 out of their previous 3 games. We said you don't have to go out and impress us. You just have to go out. You have to win. You have to find a way. This is a short week for you. It's a short week for them, but you're the one who's used to it. You're the one who knows the rhymes and the rhythms of playing on Thanksgiving. Be that elite offense. We know that Amari Cooper's out. We know that Noah Brown. We know that CeeDee Lamb is out. But Tyron Smith is back, and Micah Parsons is a superstar. So you have to find a way to get it done, and that did not happen. The Dallas Cowboys falling in overtime to the Las Vegas Raiders, 36-33. We have a lot of thoughts, obviously, to get to, Tony. Before we do, a big thank you to our super chatter, Crutch. Thank you very much. I've been super positive lately, but we lost 3 of 4 games, so we can't even beat half decent teams. So, Tony, I think that's a great place to start. The panic is starting to set in. And it was last Sunday. I say last, like it was 10 days ago. But on Sunday, after Dallas lost at Kansas City, but we bargained. We reasoned with ourselves. We said, you know what? This is a team that's been in the Super Bowl the last 2 years, et cetera. And I even said, I said on shows and tweeted it, if they lose to the Raiders, I will start to panic. So your comments, your questions, if you're with us on our postgame show live, Tony, are you panicking? Is it fair to panic as I turn up the air condition because it's a little warm in here?
I'm a little panicked, to be honest with you. I from the jump, I always thought this stretch was going to be the toughest stretch we had on the season, and 8-3 looks a lot better than 7-4. And the way we've been going about doing it, it's not just the losses; it's how we're losing. We are officially in that. It might be a little time to head scratch and panic in time, because it's like I said just a second ago, it's not really the fact that we're losing, it's how we're losing, the style, the fashion of it. It just doesn't look good. And I'm a positive person. I try to think positively. I know reinforcements are coming, but this is a game you have to win.
So a couple of comments I want to get to here in the comments, Tony. First of all, Steve says on Facebook, you better be panicked. The Eagles are licking their chops. And I agree. And the narrative of the moment is going to get away from all of us. The narrative is going to take off. People are going to say the Eagles are going to win this division. The Eagles are coming in. The Eagles have the New York Giants on Sunday. We'll obviously see what happens. What I will say is that the teams that the Eagles are winning against and having success against, with the exception of the Denver Broncos, the Dallas Cowboys still get to play. So you still have that coming. But Tony, I think the concern is, okay, fine, we'll beat the trash Saints a week from tonight on Thursday Night Football. We'll beat Washington, maybe we'll beat New York. But this was a team, Tony, that I thought, I'm random Cowboys. I thought we were going to beat the Buccaneers in the wild card round or the divisional round or whatever the case may be. Now they're just looking like, a slightly above average team that's going to win a bad division and maybe be a first round exit from the playoffs.
It's funny you say that, like talking like average Cowboys fan, like this is a team we should beat. I'm at the point now personally where I don't feel that comfortable speaking about teams anymore. They had over the last month, they haven't shown us that is this type of team. I mean, now we got to start wondering when we saw them went on the winning streak, is that more who they are or what we're seeing now more who they are? Because we've seen, both sides of the coin now, and my confidence level is shaking a little bit. I mean, I understand that people are coming back, and I understand we played shorthanded for most of this, but it sitting there, we were, one loss, and then quickly now we're 7-4. So that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, I think they're I was so upset with the Broncos loss because I maintain that the Broncos are frauds. I don't think they're a good team, but the Cowboys breathed life into their fraudulency by losing to them the way that they did. And I kind of believe that to a different degree with the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are back. I don't think the Chiefs' offense is legit, but they beat the Cowboys. And so now everybody's kind of hyping up the Chiefs. That's what happens when you beat the Cowboys. This is a bad Raiders team. This is a really bad Raiders team. It should not have been this close. I know we're all upset because it went to overtime and, Dak Prescott had the bad throw to Noah Brown, et cetera. This game could have been won in the first half. This game should not have gotten to this point. And there are a lot of reasons for that. But I mean, it's Nick says it well here on Facebook. It's embarrassing. I mean, it really is. This is like Tony, we all said this is different. This season's different. This season feels special. We're ready to trust. We're ready to believe. That has not been the case. Let's start with our winners and losers, Tony, that we do here on our postgame show, and we have to start with the losers. We do have two winners. I think they're rather obvious, and we'll celebrate them in a little bit, although I know nobody wants to do that. I really hate to start here. And if you have watched me or listened to me in any capacity, I am not somebody who believes that the NFL hates the Cowboys or that Roger Goodell is trying to screw the Cowboys over or that the fix is in or anything like that. If there was ever a day that I was willing to entertain that argument, though, Tony, Catalina, it was today. Our first loser, referees. I just cannot. I mean, some of these penalties today were substantiated, were justified. Nobody here is saying that the Cowboys are a flawless team. They're infallible. They can never be wrong. But this was ridiculous what we saw today. I mean, I don't have, everything in front of me, obviously, as normal. But what was it, like 156 penalty yards against the Cowboys? That's just ridiculous.
It's insane, and it's been a season-long problem, if we're being honest with you. The refs league-wide have been an issue, but and maybe like you mentioned all the time, maybe because we're so tuned in and so locked into the Cowboys, we see it from a different lens, but at the same time, it's just like some of it just gets ridiculous, and then you get to a point when you're watching these games where you just throw your hands up, and you're like, I mean, the Anthony Brown penalty that sealed the game. I'm just like, another one. Like, are you serious?
That one I'm fine with, though. Like, I don't have an issue in a vacuum. Like, if you show me that play, you don't tell me anything else about the situation at the moment, I'm fine acknowledging that that's a penalty. But it's the addition of everything. It's the attrition of the whole game that just kind of makes you feel at that point like this is getting ridiculous, even though that one I think we all would acknowledge is legitimately pass interference. But there was a lot of other ones where it's like, hey, Anthony Brown's going to be the face of all this, Tony. And in fact, I mean, we might as well go ahead and do it. Loser, Anthony Brown. I mean, if you have 4 defensive pass interference penalties, I mean, you're going to be on the losers list. He's not the reason the Cowboys lost this game, but yeah, man, I mean, like it's tough.
This one hurts me to my soul because I've been Anthony Brown's like biggest supporter since week 2, and sometimes you just got to take your licks, and that's what he did. I had remnants of week 1 where he just couldn't get out of his way, and everything he did you thought was right was wrong, and it's like you said, 4 defensive pass interferences in a game is like, it's almost borderline impressive to be that inefficient, so it's a tough pill to swallow.
I've referenced this before. Have you ever seen, Tony, the Factor of Sadness video of the Cleveland Browns fan yelling at the stadium? In case anybody hasn't seen it, it's from like 2007. There's a Browns fan yelling at the stadium, just like upset that the team has lost again. And he has a line that I just find to be so powerful. He says, "Do you realize that it is actually statistically harder to be this consistently bad than it is for you to sometimes accidentally, occasionally be good?" And that's kind of what you're saying. Like, it's impressive. Like in the world of like unpredictability that Anthony Brown could have this like unicorn of an awful game. We go now, Tony, to our next super chatter. Lonnie Hardy, thank you very much. Shout out to you. Says, I hate blaming refs. We win 3 and out more than these last 2 games without Coop. Our running game isn't impactful. Our offense is pitiful. Don't help defense. To be very clear, Lonnie, first of all, thank you for the super chat. Tony and I agree. We're not sitting here saying the Cowboys were screwed. The Cowboys got robbed. The referee stole this one from the Cowboys. It's just a frustrating thing. It's not even a cherry on top. It's like when you're a little kid and you get a present, you can't rip it out of the plastic. It's that hard, like jaws of life. But yeah, you know what, Tony? I haven't wanted to say this out loud, but I mean, I feel like we have to now in the interest of full honesty. I am worried that, forever, since October 22nd, 2018, I can tell you the day, because that was the day the Dallas Cowboys traded for Amari Cooper. Since that moment, people have said, well, Dak's only good because the Cowboys traded for Amari Cooper. Amari unlocked this offense. And Dak Prescott had a phenomenal fourth quarter. He missed Noah Brown late, obviously, in overtime, and everybody's going to talk about that for the next 7 days. But that argument has life, that without Amari Cooper, this offense is nothing. And I don't know that I fully was willing to buy that. Are you willing to buy that at all?
There's some validity to the fact that the Cowboys are just overall better with the silent assassin. Amari Cooper isn't flashy; he just does his job. And at the end of the day, with Dak Prescott and them connecting, the team is definitely better. I mean, if his product on the field wasn't enough for you to be like Amari Cooper is one of the elite wide receivers in the league, look at how the offense looked without him. I mean, then you throw in the fact that CeeDee Lamb isn't out there, and then it's like, now, Dak, what are you gonna do? Now you gotta go be a legitimate magician, And even there was like a drive or two where it looked like said Wilson was out, and now you got Simi Fehoko out there with Malik Turner, and it's like, good luck, man. Good luck.
That's a hard pill to swallow, I think, because we're all so team Dak. We want it to be where Dak can be great, regardless of who's around him. But shocker alert, even great quarterbacks are better with great players around them. And that's just, it's a tough thing to take. Donnie has a comment here on our YouTube stream, says, RJ, this team was supposed to have quality depth at wide receiver. This is a great point, Tony. Missed drops, it's becoming a theme. I am sorry, but that's not quality depth. Remember, Tony, we'll trade Michael Gallup. Trade Michael Gallup for Stephon Gilmore. Trade, Amari Cooper, and we're going to re-sign Michael Gallup in the offseason. We look at our top. We got Amari Cooper. We got Michael Gallup. We got CeeDee Lamb. We even got Cedric Wilson, and don't forget about that Noah Brown hive and everybody that was all pumped about Simi Fehoko after the draft with all the athletic comps to DK Metcalf and whatnot. It's fair to say, this is a great point from Donnie, that they don't have depth and they're banged up. They're missing Amari and CeeDee. But if you're going to be a team with depth, then you got to have that depth show up. And, they were really fortunate in that department that they were able to have success without Michael Gallup early on this season. But now it's starting to rear its ugly head.
I think any team in the league, it doesn't matter who you are going to be in a bind if you're missing your top 2 wide receivers. I mean, with 2 such different styles, the way Amari Cooper plays, he's, like we just mentioned, Dak's, safety valve. He's Dak, like, trust. And then CeeDee is the big playability. And you finally get Michael Gallup back. But it's easy for defenses to key on Michael Gallup and say, let anybody else beat us in the passing game. So it's just tough to do. I mean, watch, and what's going to happen, right? The offense is going to start to look good next week when Amari Cooper's back and CeeDee Lamb's back. And you're like, where's this been? It's like, it's been on the bench.
I want to transition to a different subject, Tony, one that I have been passionate about before. I would like our live commenters to let us know what they would do if they were in charge of the Dallas Cowboys. Christopher Lopez brings up, question, will Dallas cut the kicker tomorrow? He has cost the team 2 games. Ocho, that's both me and my son now. Okay, so what are you doing if you're watching us live? If you're listening after the fact, Tony's on Twitter at Tony_Catalina. I'm on Twitter at RJOcho. Let us know your thoughts on Greg Zuerlein. Tony, Greg Zuerlein has played 9 games this season for the Dallas Cowboys. Just talking about this season, he has missed a kick of some variety in 4 of them. And everybody had issues, at least what I saw on Twitter, with the Cowboys taking the extra point off the board and going for 2. I want to be very clear, Tony, I think you agree. That's the right call. Even though you're taking the point off the board, you go for 2 if you get that short field. Do you agree?
100%. They've done it before, and I liked it both times.
Okay, now the play call, awful, trash, basura. Nobody's down. Why are you pitching it back 5 yards? We can sit here, we can debate that till we're blue in the face, but that's the right decision. If you want to be pissed at Greg Zuerlein, I don't think you should even be pissed at him for the 59-yard field goal attempt. Like, that's a hard kick. I mean, and I know you're going to say, like, he's paid millions of dollars. You should make that kick, whatever. Fine. If you want to go that route, I'm not going to go there right now. I am going to go to McDonald's later, Tony, if they're open, and get a 20-piece McNugget. I'm looking forward to it. But the extra point, that's where this was lost. If you want to play, Truman Show and look back at the tiny little details, the extra point cost the Cowboys that Greg Zuerlein missed. And Tony Romo said it on the broadcast. That's the kind of thing that's going to show up, and it's going to change the math of this game. And Greg Zuerlein, to the comment from Chris Lopez, you can make an argument that they lost the game in Tampa because of him as well.
It's like, I'm going to lean on something that I think our good friend Aiden Davis might be able to help us with. But when I see Greg Zuerlein kick, I'm not necessarily worried about like game winners or game tying situations or even kicks in distance. Where I struggle with, or maybe it's, and I don't want to say it's like a lack of focus, but it seems like the mundane routine kicks. It's just like, oh, let this one slip. I'm going to miss this 33-yarder in the middle of the first quarter that doesn't seem like it'll rear its ugly head. But then I'm going to go and drill the 45-yarder with pressure on me. So it's like, and like you said, they add up. These, Tampa Bay game, you can directly correlate points missed to, losing a football game. This situation, it changed the math, like you mentioned. So it's so crazy to me. And it's just, you can't leave these points on the board. And like you said, missing a kick of some variety in 4 out of the 9 games is crazy.
And that's just this season. I mean, he has missed kicks in something like, and I'll tweet it out later, something like 45% of games that he has played with the Dallas Cowboys, like a kick in some kind. Now, I agree with this point from Kevin, and I want to now talk about the coaching staff. And I know people have a lot of thoughts, but Kevin brings up on the YouTube side of things. By the way, my computer is balancing on our steering wheel. So let's just hope nothing crazy happens here because it's already wobbled a little bit. But Kevin says, why do you attempt a 59-yard field goal when the kicker has already missed an extra point? Great point here, Kevin. Great job. Cowboys coaching staff, Tony, I'm going to say it. And actually, I want to know if you're watching us, do you agree or disagree with the statement that I am saying right now? This was the worst game of the season for the Dallas Cowboys coaching staff. Tony, I'll take your thoughts. Everybody, your thoughts in the comments.
It's tough to say no. I mean, at this point, we're talking about, Dak's like, oh, we got to take it out on somebody. We weren't physical. This was the first game that I saw, at least, where the words didn't match the actions, right? When they got mad after the Denver game, they took it out on Atlanta. Then they come back and they say it. Now you just sound like lip service. And it starts with the coaching, right? Yes, the short answer, yes. This is a tough pill to swallow. This is a game that absolutely should have been won. This was a W that they took, they took it's just tough pill to swallow. Yes, the coaching staff had a rough day.
So Noah says disagree here, and this is why I feel this way. And we have some comments that I want to kind of expand on a little bit too. Again, assuming this car studio allows it. What the hell was the offensive line rotation early on? So the Cowboys decide at like a moment's notice to start. Here's the other thing, Tony. I see a comment here, by the way. Let me find out who it's from F. Kit Crutch. We'll get to your comment about Kellen Moore being figured out. But we can also now, Tony, read these tea leaves from the Cowboys. If they're gassing some dude up, man, it looks good. He's trending towards playing. We're feeling really optimistic. Don't count on him. They did it with Dak Prescott in Minnesota. They did it with Tyron Smith last week in Kansas City, and they did it with CeeDee Lamb right now. That's their move. I'm still Team Mike McCarthy, especially as it relates to the Kellen Moore take. However, McCarthy, dude, respect on everything you're doing, but this whole I'm going to say one thing and then do the other only worked against Mike Zimmer because he is one of those crotchety old NFL head coaches who refuses to adapt. Nobody's buying all this stuff. People aren't saying, well, I guess we got to prepare for CeeDee Lamb and no other possibility now. It's not working that way. And so, in the same sense, Tony, Cowboys say all week long, Tyron Smith's back, Lyle Collins going to be right tackle. Boom, carpet pulled out from us. Terrence Steele starting at right tackle. What the hell are you doing? Okay, cool, fine. Terrence Steele's right tackle. Let's move on. Let's prosper. Third series of the game. Wait a minute. Lyle Collins is in. And not only, Tony, is Lyle Collins in, but now Connor Williams is in at left guard. What the hell was that?
I would love some clarity on it because I haven't seen anything like that since I was watching like some college SEC football where, they're rotating offensive linemen. You don't see that in the NFL for no reason. You're not doing offensive line changes. This isn't hockey. It didn't make any sense to me.
Change it up. Like Michelle McKay said in Mighty Ducks 2, I think. But
yeah.
but yeah, dude, I mean, like, it's I mean, I'm what especially like McCarthy has said things that I think he regrets. I think he regrets last year saying you can't kick Zach Martin out to right tackle. If this isn't fantasy football, whatever. That has really come back to bite him because now he's even doing this in the middle of games. And I know people were talking about Joe Philbin missed the game as part of the COVID protocols, Cowboys offensive line coach, but that's indefensible to me. I mean, it really is indefensible when you're preaching all this continuity. You're on a short week. Like if you want to do that, coming out off your bye, I still think it's really dumb. But on a short week of all times, when Tyron is back, like why would you purposefully, impact your offensive line composition?
They preach continuity all season. Terrence Steele's going to play right tackle for the sake of continuity. We're keeping everything the same. And, poor Joe Philbin probably sick at home, going through the process, isolating, watching the game, going, what are they doing? Why are we switching guards and tackles in and out like this? And I mean, to me, the continuity thing is what they've been saying all year. It's why I said, okay, we can justify this move. But mid-game, different drives, you're taking Terrence Steele out, you're putting Lyle Collins in, last week, Connor Williams gets one fullback snap. It's just like I need clarity on that. I know they're going to speak, and they're probably speaking now. I just want to know why.
There isn't a why. There isn't a why that's going to satisfy us, especially because the house is on fire right now. Is that a Coca-Cola we're going with, Tony, right now? Washing down the meal. All right, respect. JJ, the mime, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Says we don't need to sugarcoat it anymore. We are overrated, and I'm sick of it now. The game has broken me as a football fan, as this has never happened. JJ, respect. This has happened. I mean, like, welcome to Dallas Cowboys football. Welcome to the rise and the fall. So we're all gonna, not trying to brag. My wife and I thought this might come. We decorated for Christmas last weekend, so we get to go home to an already decorated house. No big deal. But everybody's going to be doing it this weekend, Tony. Pissed off. You're going to be, wrapping the tree with the little, ropes that shed all the stuff. You know what I mean? You're going to be, putting stuff away, taking all the bins out and everything, and we're going to be pissed because of this. But this is pretty normal for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we have a lot of comments like this, Tony. I'm going to pull up FKit Crutches here. It says, worst game for Kellen Moore. He is figured out. I want to be very clear. I am not bragging about this. I am not like doing victory laps. I think that's stupid when supposed Cowboys fans come in that were not big Dak Prescott fans and are like, "Where's Dak now?" It's like you root for this team. Like your happiness is directly tied to his success. So I don't know why they take victory laps over Dak having poor moments. I did, though, however, think, Tony, that it was silly that people were saying, a month, 2 months ago, at the end of the season, just fire Mike McCarthy. Just promote Kellen Moore. Just promote Kellen Moore. He's got it. He's figured it out. Boy wonder, boy genius. He's going to imagine if the Bears want him or whoever wants him. I mean, we have to keep Kellen Moore. I don't believe Kellen Moore is done. Kellen Moore is cooked. Kellen Moore is whatever. But Kellen Moore is far from this, wise, innovative, elite mind that he looked like a month, 6 weeks ago. He looks like an average at best NFL offensive coordinator right now. We're seeing some of the least creative Cowboys offenses right now. Granted, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb were out today.
Yeah, and it's almost like we don't need to speak in absolutes, right? There's no point in being, because he looks good, the offense is clicking. It's like Kellen Moore has to be the head coach. He's gone. This is his last season. And then you come in this year and you get the same people saying, he's got to get out of here. There's no way Kellen Moore, he's figured out. It's almost like water finds its level. Sometimes I feel like, much like a player, a coach kind of gets in a rhythm. I mean? You're kind of firing on all cylinders. Sometimes you're making the right calls. You got the right play drawn up. Right now, it's just not going for him that way. Early in the season, it seemed like he couldn't go wrong. Right now, it seems like he can't go right.
So I'm looking for the comment a minute ago. I do see that we've had to block some people here. Guys, be cool. It's Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Like there's no need, to not be great. Survivor 722 Gaming. I have not seen this week's episode of Survivor yet, by the way. Obviously, it was kind of busy on Wednesday. Says loser mentality attitude that we can keep losing games to the AFC. I'll own that. I did not think, and I was trying to be optimistic. I thought, hey, you know what? These were, and I thought what Dak Prescott said this week, Tony, about how the Broncos and Chiefs losses were kind of different. I thought that made sense. This one doesn't have anything. You can't explain this away in any kind of way, shape, or form. This team came on the road on a short week to your house and owned you. Yes, there were some wonky penalties and things that we did not like to see. But I mean, they owned you. You got this is the game that will make Derek Carr. Like Derek Carr will stay like in conversations as like a legit elite franchise quarterback. off of this game. And it will be, and I said this after the Broncos lost, Raiders fans will be like, man, he just needs to play the way he did against Dallas. Like the Cowboys are, they made him. They gave Derek Carr life, and good for Derek Carr. I mean, he had a great game, but I don't think he's as good as this game presents. I'm looking for another comment, Tony. This was about Mike McCarthy, because I do think that the disposition of the team needs to be challenged, needs to be discussed. Here we go. So I was going to say, with regards to Kellen Moore, my favorite quote of his over this season, and I know it's yours too, Tony, has been when he said that their mentality, their disposition has been to aggressively attack what opposing defenses give them. We have not seen that. We saw conservative run on first downs, run on second downs. We saw multiple 4th and 3s that Cowboys should have gone for. I know not every level of analytics necessarily supported that, like in spades. And we saw them attempt a 59-yard field goal. We saw them be really, really, really conservative. So Miguel Garcia asks on YouTube, can we talk about the Mike McCarthy aggressiveness? People complain when he does go on 4th down aggressively, we win games. He did not go against today or against Kansas City. We've seen the Cowboys kind of turtle up, Tony, and they're losing games because of it.
I think there's merit to that statement, but at the same time, these games, sometimes the situations dictate how you call them. Not every game is going to come with, that specific situation. You get down in certain games and you play catch up, and it does give you a little more of a head scratcher of why they keep running into a brick wall on first down and, throwing short outs on second down. And then now you're in 3rd and distance. But yeah, it's the aggressiveness is who Mike McCarthy is. I think that's what they've shown. And, but at the same time, you can't force those type of situations. And we already know what he's going to do in 4th and short. They get to midfield, they start thinking about it, and they've lived by it, and they've died by it a few times this year. So just because it hasn't happened the last 2 games doesn't really change his philosophy.
Late in the game on 3rd and 10 near the red zone, Cowboys purposefully dump it down, check it down, however you want to term it. I have not seen that. And again, they're without Amari Cooper. They're without CeeDee Lamb. I don't care. Find a way. And I see a take here from Brody Helmick on the YouTube side of things, Tony, that says Dak Prescott did really good this game and was the only reason we were even close to winning. The defense and Greg is the reason we lost. Brody, I don't disagree with you. But if I had to say, Tony, the only reason the Cowboys were even close to winning, I would say it was Tony Pollard. I don't think it was Dak Prescott. I think Dak, as much as I love him and as much as you love him, I wouldn't say he put lipstick on a pig in the 4th quarter. He had an incredible 4th quarter. The touchdown to Dalton Schultz was amazing, but Dak came alive too late. Dak had to be there from the jump, and he wasn't, but Tony Pollard was.
The game would have been even different if they came out of the half like that, right? I mean, if he didn't play a complete football, he didn't play a complete half of game of football, but you said he came alive in the last few drives. And if he did that maybe halfway through the 3rd quarter, we're probably talking a different game. And yeah, Tony Pollard was the spark, and they definitely didn't make the mistake of kicking to him again. They did do it one time, but nothing came out of that. But he's a spark. I mean, he's aggressive, he's fast, he's different, and Zeke and him are a hell of a compliment together. But Tony Pollard just brings some juice.
The frustrating thing about this loss, Tony, is again, it feels like they had control, or they should have had control. It feels like they made decisions to weaken themselves, like not being aggressive, like I guess their whole offensive game plan was so shy. I mean, they allowed the game to get as dramatic as it became, and it was fun and it was thrilling, and it would have been awesome if they had won. We'd be sitting here, we'd be celebrating, but they made this bet, and now they have to line it. And they made this bet knowing what a loss would mean. Yes, you've lost 3 games to AFC teams. Blah blah blah. They're non-consequential. Too bad. At this point, the Raiders, Tony, are 6-5. You're 1 game better than that trash team. Like that's where you're at now. And we talked about it. You have, I wouldn't say blown, but you have significantly hindered your possibilities to do something special with the advantage of better seeding in the playoffs, assuming you get there as a division winner. Because now, as annoying as it's going to be to all of us, Tony, it's fair to say, well, the Eagles are swirling right now. Even the Washington football team, I don't think they're a good team, but they have 2 games left against the Cowboys. They have a lot of control in their hands. And so those conversations are fair right now. And that's they allowed for this mess to happen. And that's why we're pissed off.
You are what your record says you are. This is what they've been. I mean, regardless of what we thought they were, a month ago, this is who they are right now. Now you could say reinforcements are coming. You can say that they're getting a lot of players back,
Is
but
that
right
frustrating
now,
though? Like is that will that upset you this week? And it's a weird week because now everybody, just so you know, football speaks coming out. Tomorrow, Cowboys going to say it's Monday. You know what I mean? And on Saturday, it's Tuesday because they're going Thursday to Thursday. That will, I'm going to be honest, that will upset me. If you're just like, well, we're going to get everybody back. Okay, cool. What if they're out in the wild card round? What if they're on the divisional round? Like this, you can't use those as crutches.
100%. Like, and that's almost kind of like the last little hope I have, right? It's like, okay, they're not at full strength. They're not even close to full strength. And when these guys come back, maybe that's the hope. And when they come back, they come out flat again. And then I got to find some new like Strata grass mat and like, and find some hope in it. But it's good. Yeah, it'll annoy me too when they do that whole, everyone's coming back, and it's like, yeah, but there's opportunities. You played poor teams, and now I don't feel really confident against anybody because the Broncos should have been a win this week, should have been a win, and now when they play anybody, we'd be like, well, we got to come out on firing because it doesn't matter who we play if we're not playing our game.
So I'm about to ask a very difficult question. What is the word exposed has been used a lot. Kellen Moore's been exposed. The Cowboys have been exposed. If you have to, I'm going to ask you in a minute, Tony, but I'm also talking to you, our loyal listener, our loyal viewer, wherever you are. If you're watching live, obviously, we'd love to hear in the comments. Again, if you're not, you can let us know on Twitter afterwards. If you had to pick the thing that has been the most exposed when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys this season, what is your answer? Now, I go to a super chat from Lonnie Hardy. Thank you very much, Lonnie. Says Diggs equally got exposed like Brown. Again, Anthony Brown, the 4 DPIs. But we knew that about Anthony Brown. We that's who he is. I mean, he's not like that penalty guy, but he's an average corner, and sometimes average corners are going to have awful days. But Lonnie's comment continues. Reality is, if I told you those two DBs have 12 interceptions together, we would think they are good, but Diggs kills us too. Tony, if I have to pick one thing, one narrative that has been the most exposed, that has had the most air let out of the balloon, it's that Trayvon Diggs is an elite cornerback.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, yeah. To me, it's not my take. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, that's a take there. And
I
for
mean,
me,
do you think he's an elite cornerback? Or I mean, he's a very unique corner. Like that's
yeah.
you have to give him his credit, but he's during the streak there were all these like Diggs Island, things like that. That is not it. That's not what we're dealing with here.
Much like this team, he's come down to earth. He's come back down to earth a little bit, right? I mean, I think he was playing at a crazy level. He was opportunistic. He was finding ways to get around the football, and I think it's kind of just like I say, the water finds its level, and maybe this is more indicative of a more consistent Diggs level that we're gonna see, and that doesn't sound as exciting, and it won't sell jerseys, but it is what it is.
Well, they already sold the jerseys. You know what I mean? They already got they were on back order. And so, they got them. Now, I agree with this take from Aaron. Says Diggs is an elite athlete still learning to play corner. Yeah, I think if there's anything that is like fair to say that is fair to Diggs too, it's that we crowned him too early. Like he might still ultimately be deserving of a crown, and how could we not? I mean, you know what I mean? Like he was doing, all these interceptions, et cetera, blah, blah. But Trayvon Diggs has been exposed. Kellen Moore has been exposed. Who is going to be your answer, Tony?
I don't have a single player. I want to say the defensive mentality has been exposed. I thought that, when Dan Quinn came in here, and me personally was on record saying I love the way Jaron Kearse plays. He's physical. He's kind of embodiment of what Dan Quinn's trying to bring into this defense. And it's now we're kind of a type of team that if things aren't perfect or if they don't get rolling like immediately, they kind of shy up. It's, you know what I mean? Things have to, against Atlanta, they got the ball first, they go and score a touchdown,
Yeah,
they never look back.
They need to be the big brother in the wrestling match. That's who they need to be.
Immediately from the jump, first kickoff, things got to be clicking. They go 3 and out, then they give up 3 or 7 on the next drive, and now they're like, oh man, like we're not the big bad Cowboys right now, like we can be had, and then it just turns into a snowball effect, and that's not a sign of somebody who is a tough and rugged mentally, or they're gonna oppose their will. They just aren't that, and I really did think they were that, or at least becoming that, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's the only dude who is that is Micah Parsons. He's the only dude who, I mean, like Man alive. And that's why that last Diggs penalty was so deflating, because it felt like Micah was going to will that win into existence. Tony, I see this question, and I know people are going to have some thoughts. I'll ask it to you. Are the Cowboys paper tigers?
I don't know what that means.
So, it means like front runners, like pretenders, like a tiger that's made out of paper, like a not
Okay.
actual, ferocious, gonna kill you thing. Like it's a fraud, I guess, is a better way to put it.
It's
A lot of people thought the Denver Nuggets were paper tigers a few years ago when they were running the West. So just to kind of give you some comparison.
fair enough. It's hard to say they're not at this point, right? They're not as good as that winning streak, and I don't think they're as bad as they're playing now. But between injury and circumstance and whatever the case may be, I don't think they're as good as we thought they were. And that's a really hard thing for me to say. I mean, you are what your record says you are. They, lost 2 out of the last 3 games, and they haven't
lost
looked good
3
in
out of the last 4. Like
3 out of the last 4.
Yeah.
If we go back, yeah, exactly. You go for, and it's like, and against, and like you said, AFC opponent. So if you want to go to the Super Bowl, you're gonna have to beat an AFC opponent. So I mean, they are what their record says they are, and they're a 7-4 team, and they're 1 game better than the team they just lost to. So yeah, I don't think anybody in the league right now doesn't think they could come in and beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Donnie King, Donnie, I love you, but I just have a problem with this comment. Donnie says, I do not think they're paper tigers. If they can get it together, every team has their crappy games. Like, take, for example, the Packers lost 38-3. Yes, that's true. However, they are having a lot of crappy games. They're not just having crappy games. They're having crappy performances. They're making crappy decisions. They're crapping all over themselves by shuffling their offensive line for no reason. They are, like we said, it was somewhat easy to explain the Broncos loss. They got overconfident. They bought themselves. They were humbled. They came out. They destroyed Atlanta. Cool. We believe you. Then, hey, again, you went to Arrowhead. It's crazy. CD gets hurt. Amari's out. Kind of a surprise. Last minute thing on the COVID list. We're still willing to give you the benefit of the doubt because you've earned it. Maybe fine. You don't want to go as far as calling them their paper tigers, but they have spent the benefit of the doubt. They're now even. You know what I'm saying? They're not in the red or in the black. They are even push 0 right now. They are back to who we have kind of had trust issues with being, because it's not just one loss. It's not just like, oh, they got blasted in this one game because they had an off day. It's, man, they lost in this close game against this team that is kind of fraudulent in their own nature, that had lost 3 games in a row, that went on the road, and not just 3 games in a row. Vegas is, I mean, I don't want to get into Vegas's off the field things, but they have been broken as an NFL team. 2 weeks ago, they were embarrassed at home by a division rival and kind of kissed goodbye the opportunity to win their division. Last week, they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that they're vying with for a wild card spot in the AFC. So, like, all their hope had been stripped away, and all they had was what a lot of teams have, Tony. We're going to go to AT&T Stadium. I grew up a Cowboys fan. I want to make a scene. I want to have a big game in front of the whole world on Thanksgiving Day. And they did it. They did it. And so I think the Cowboys are a little bit paper tigers for letting it happen. They got pushed around.
I mean, is it fair to say they're a little Jekyll and Hyde? Because, at some points, the offense looks amazing, and then they come down to earth. The defense last week, the defense is keeping the offense in it against Kansas City, and then this year they get 30 pieced up by the Raiders and Derek Carr and, Zay Jones. You know what I mean? They made Hunter Renfrow look like a star out there, and it's just like it's just tough that you can't get a beat on this team. Like, can you sit here, RJ, and confidently say, I know what this team is about. I know what they're going to do week to week. There's no consistency. Like, can you consistently call out this team?
Well, I could say, and it was more than I could say they're going to win. I could say they're going to come out. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to control what they can control. They're going to put all of the game in Dak Prescott's hands, and Dak Prescott's going to make some great plays, and he's going to put them in position to win. And somehow, some way, they're going to find a way to will some turnovers into existence. Granted, that's a bit of a fluky thing. They're not that anymore. And again, kudos to Dak for having an incredible fourth quarter, but that's not enough, dude. Dak has had 1 great quarter in his last 2 games, and I know everybody wants to dance on the contract. He's being paid $40 million a year, and I think that's stupid, but I think that's a fair thing to say right now. I mean, you want, and to be very clear, I completely believe that Dak is the guy, the dude, that guy, however you want to put it. I know you agree, Tony. If you're going to be that guy, then you got to own up. You got to be, and you can't say, man, Amari's out, CD's out, whatever. Not. You got to be the guy. You got to be the reason, because this team found a way when you were out, and they shocked us all by doing that. I mean, and think about that. That's one of their 2 wins in their last 5 games. You got the Vikings win, and you got the Falcons win, obviously. Their last, like, sound win, that wasn't against a trash team was New England. That was a long time ago. You were at that game. That was their last sound win as a complete, total starting cast together. And we've kind of slowly withered away from that point to now here we are after Thanksgiving night.
It's crazy. And, like you said, Dak Prescott, it's amazing to me to look at this team over the last month and say, this team beat Minnesota with Cooper Rush, but they can't beat the Denver Broncos. They can't even score on the Denver Broncos. Never mind that, you go and you lose to Las Vegas, and and to me, I love the tradition of Thanksgiving. I love being able to watch the games on Thanksgiving, but you're getting the team's best every week. Like you said, Derek Carr's got his whole family there. Everybody's there. So you already know you got a big target on your back. So if you're not coming out playing your best ball, and yeah, Dak, he got paid all this money and he's going to have retractors. And I think he's worth every penny of it, to be honest with you, because he's a leader. He's a cultural guy and all those things. But like you said, not everything is going to be perfect. Not everything's going to be handed on a silver platter. You got to find a way to just get gritty and find a way to win football games, even when they don't look great or they don't, they're not pretty. And this is one of those situations. Like, if we came out of this game with a W, we would still have a lot to talk about, but it'd feel a lot better at 8-3 than 7-4.
Tony, I mean, they got burned by Deshaun Jackson. That was the most, if you had asked us to predict the worst possible things that could happen, from a narrative standpoint. I use that word a lot, but that's because that's what it is. Predict the things that could make you feel the worst. Deshaun Jackson housing one on them would have been in my top 3 answers. And it happened. And it not only happened, it happened right away. And the vibes were off right there. There's a question here from a super chatter. Thank you, Jamie Easley, that says, do you think this is a cultural issue? I don't think the Cowboys have a culture problem. I think their culture is very strong. I think Mike McCarthy's done a great job with that. I do think that they have not shown an ability, certainly as of late, to handle being the hunted, because that's who they are. And you can say it's okay. Everybody wants to show up for the Cowboys. Everybody wants to show up on Thanksgiving every year. Think about their Thanksgiving performances recently. Last year, fine. I'll throw out, very large outlier. 2019, they got wrecked by the Buffalo Bills. And that was the Bills kind of coming out party, announcing themselves. They made the playoffs that season. Josh Allen obviously took a big step the next year. 2018, yes, they won against Colt McCoy's Washington football team. So not exactly like a, win worth beating your chest about. 2017, they lost in humiliating fashion to the LA Chargers while they were losing games without Zeke Elliott when he was suspended. 2016, cool, you won. You beat Kirk Cousins' Washington football team. 2015, Romo's last start. You lost to the Panthers after everybody crowned you when you beat the Dolphins and you were favorites over that, undefeated Carolina team. 2014, you lost to the Eagles led by Mark Sanchez. It is kind of a cultural thing. Call it the country club thing that people love to refer to when it comes to the Cowboys. They fold in this window because this is when a lot of teams get up, because it is Thanksgiving, the stage, and all that stuff.
That it just comes with the territory when you're the Cowboys, right? It blows my mind that, seriously, because I know they admitted that they looked past the Denver Broncos, but it blows my mind to be this team, to be this historic franchise, and to ever think that you could just sleepwalk past teams, because every team knows they're going to get a nationally televised game. They know they're going to get talked about if they knock down the Cowboys. So at the same time, how do you not take every single week dead serious like you should? Because at the end of the day, teams are coming and they're gunning for you. Like you said, they're trying to figure out how to be the hunted instead of the hunters, and it hasn't looked great in that instance over the last month.
A couple of quick questions here, Tony. First of all, super chat from Bill Go Mets. I had an awkward moment here because I had the car on. Somebody was waiting for the parking spots. I had to turn the lights off. Super awkward. But Bill Go Mets, thank you for the super chat, says, how about playing coverage on 3rd and 18? Yeah, how about knowing that Hunter Renfrow is going to be open over the middle of the field? But, maybe that was a little bit too obvious. Next one comes to us from Lonnie Hardy. Thank you for the super chat. Lonnie says, we get ball first versus Kansas City and go 3. I think you mean 3 and out in the comment. Versus Raiders and go 3 and out to start. The Cowboys, for what it's worth, wanted the ball against Kansas City and went 3-and-out. Dak Prescott missed Michael Gallup. The vibes were off then. This game, Vegas won the toss. They deferred, so it wasn't Dallas's choice, but still they did go 3-and-out to start. And then, Tony, they get the ball to start overtime, which they wanted, and they go 3-and-out. And Dak Prescott, that was one of the worst throws of Dak Prescott's season. I mean, he had such a great fourth quarter, and then to have that awful throw to Noah Brown, I mean, it was a big reason why they lost the game.
Without a doubt. And you watch the playback and you look and it's like, he short hopped it. But if that throw was even 10% better, he's gonna catch that ball. And then the drive keeps going and who knows where we're at. But yeah, it's just tough. And you look at the drive, like you said, in the fourth quarter, he's playing great. He's throwing dots to, Dalton Schultz, and he's making throws to Michael Gallup. And then it's like, it's kind of just feels like what this game is, or the season's kind of been like. It's like, here's some positive, and then right when you need it, nope, here we go. You're short skipping, you're one hopping in on the run throw. And it's just it's tough to see.
So a few people have said this, Tony, in the comments. F-Kick Crush, I'll use yours, says, win out against bad teams still ain't going to say much. There was a comment that said the Cowboys are going to probably win out. The trouble with this losing streak is, okay, say you do win out. Say you beat New Orleans next week. All right, you're 8-4. Respect, fine. You get the little mini bye. You go to Washington, you win. Okay, fine, you're 9-4. You go to New York, you win. Fine, you're 10-4. You get Washington at home. You win, you're 11-4. Then would you pick them over the Cardinals? I wouldn't, would you?
No.
Right. Okay.
No
so
way.
We're not picking them over the Cardinals, and then fine, you go to Philly, you win. Even if you win, you finish 12-5. I mean, everyone's going to say, okay, cool, you're a Mickey Mouse team. You beat, you beat these tomato cans to get there. Why should we believe in you? Why should we think you're going to be whoever? There was a comment here that I wanted to add to this point from looking for it now. Let's see here. It's difficult to do this in the car if that isn't obvious. Here it is. From Rex Morgan says, are we the same old team that we thought we put behind us? That would be how I would feel in the Wild, because they're not the 1 seed anymore. That conversation's over. Any thought that they would be the 1 seed is completely gone. Even I think the 2 seed, especially given that they've lost to the Buccaneers, and especially if they lose to the Arizona Cardinals. But if they're the 3 seed, they're the 4 seed, they're hosting, I don't know, the Saints or the Vikings in the wild card round, it would feel like, man, I wouldn't be shocked if they lose this game. They beat all the pretenders and they lose to the contenders. Not that the Raiders are even contenders.
I look over the schedule and I'm not being like facetious when I say this. Like, I don't look at a game at all that I see on the schedule that I felt extremely confident a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm looking at it, it's like, well, yeah, maybe they could get us, or maybe they can get us. They're gonna play tough, and it's just, and now you're looking at a situation where my confidence, as a fan, first and foremost, when I put my fan glasses on, I'm like, I'm legitimately nervous to play Washington football team, which 3 weeks ago I've been like, bring them on, we're gonna curb stomp them, but I just don't.
I'm nervous to play them twice in 3 weeks. They will lose. Anyone would lose one of those games. You have to assume, because that's fair, that they're going to lose one of those 2 games.
Right. And then for me, which I thought, I wasn't saying this, but I thought the division was sewn up. And now you playing the math out. It's like, okay, we got to go 500 and the Eagles have to win out. And it's just like, are we really playing this game right now that like we're worried about the NFC East?
TJ Kaiser says, I'm about to play Madden franchise mode just to cut Anthony Brown. I don't give a crap what the cap hit is. TJ, hold up. Just wait a little bit. If you haven't bought the game yet, it's going to probably be on sale in a couple hours. That's what happens right after Thanksgiving. Just, heads up right there. Let's see here. Cheryl Navage says we got to start boycotting. I kind of think that's what we're doing, if I'm being honest. I think this is like an act of boycotting. Let's see here. Lonnie adds another super chat. Says, sorry, I'm frustrated. We agree with you, Lonnie. No worries. Ecuador-Amon AOG says, we had to win this game. Can I say that now, RJ? Yeah. This, the word panic is like a terrifying word, right? People freak out like it's panic. But, relatively speaking, it's time to panic. And it's time to panic, Tony, within the context of they are not who we thought they were. They are not the elite team. Maybe they go on a run. They could still win the Super Bowl. All those things are still technically in front of them. But they are clearly flawed in a way that we were not. I don't even want to say not willing to admit, because there was no reason to admit it. But they were flawed in a way that was, unfortunately, something that we've seen over and over and over from them for the last 25, 30 years.
Maybe this is the homer and the positive thinker in me, but I almost, I'm coming back around, right? The loss is wearing off on me. We're going through therapy here, talking it out. But for me, do you almost want to get this out now, right? We keep talking about how they're getting healthier, and you like at the same. I don't mean it like we're all of a sudden we're gonna turn it on and be Super Bowl champions, but like at some point, right? This team is either A gonna stay this, and this is gonna be who they are, or B they're gonna kind of get back to what they were before. Because we're talking about the schedule is easy, or they should win out, and but at the same time, so if DeMarcus Lawrence is coming back, Randy Gregory is coming back, you got Amari Cooper, you got CeeDee Lamb, we're finally going to have the starting 5 offensive linemen together, whoever they deem that to be. At some point, But so now I'm starting to think, like what could this team do? And it's not really about how you play in November, and November's over now, right? They don't have another game in November. It goes to December. November was a tough month, but can you get hot in December? Can you get hot in January? And would you be surprised? I mean, maybe you would, but would you be surprised if they start rolling off some wins, start feeling themselves again, and then they parlay that into possible playoff success? We're getting ahead of ourselves, but still.
I wouldn't be surprised at all because again, they play some trash teams, but I can no longer feel safe about it. You know what I mean? Like I can't. I'm doing like they're the hokey pokey. Like I can only have one foot in and one foot out. You know what I mean? Like I cannot be all the way in anymore because they have shown an inability to hold on when they are that team. Now, maybe that changes if they win all these games 43-3. Like the Atlanta game kind of calmed our nerves a little bit, but obviously right now that seems unlikely. And it's they're clearly not a team that responds well to pressure. And say what you will about outside pressure. If the Eagles win on Sunday against the New York Giants, they're one game behind them. And like I know, just speaking for us, I mean, it would be a nightmare to blow this division at this point. Tony, we were ordering caps, we were ordering T-shirts. We were calling the printing presses back in October. People said when the Eagles hosted the Buccaneers like 6 weeks ago now, they said, I don't even care. Let the Eagles win because I'm concerned about the top seed. All right. I want that first round bye. The Eagles, they're not a threat to me. I'm worried about the Buccaneers, the world champions, because that's what I'm coming for if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. That's not who they are. They're pretenders in that sense right now. That's what the last month has justified. You're right. It's 1 month, but what's to say they're not closer to who they were in November than October in the month of December? You know what I mean? You can't just assume and I know you're not, but it's tough. Let's get to some super chats here. Anthony, thank you very much. Says, first off, cut Brown, please. I don't think they'll cut Anthony Brown, which will piss a lot of people off. But let's not forget all of Dak's missed throws, including that third down in overtime. Yeah, we already, killed Dak for that. Dak had a bad game. This question's come up a couple of times, Tony. Shout out to Marcus Callaway. Do you think Zeke is wearing the right cleats? Are you a cleat aficionado? Could you speak to this, Tony?
I think he may be talking about the way he cuts and how he's not moving his fluid or whatever, but I don't think that's it. I mean, all these cleats are so like high tech and superior now that it shouldn't be an issue. I bet you the knee is probably more of an issue than his cleats are.
Yeah, I think that's fair. F Kit Crutch, thank you again for the super chats. It's just a bit frustrated. Don't mean to come off bad, and it's okay if you're frustrated. I mean, it's okay because this sucks. JJ, again, the mime says, so you mean to tell me everyone can criticize Dak, but where's the same blame when Brady lost to Washington without his top receivers? I mean, I know you're not like doing this, JJ, but he's Tom Brady. I mean, that's, I do think that people are like, this is a weird year. People are really quick to criticize Matthew Stafford for the Rams, being bad. Aaron Rodgers was great last week when the Packers lost to the Vikings. I actually think the Packers, and I hate to admit this, the Packers have the most explainable losses to me of all the contenders. And the Cowboys are kind of in that mix too, because you could kind of explain the Broncos loss, to just like, getting too big for their britches. You could kind of explain the Chiefs loss. You could certainly explain the Bucs loss. Not anymore. Now, like of all of the division leaders, they have the worst quality losses.
It blows my mind, because I listened to what you said, and it's just like, yeah, they've got a little too big for their britches in the Broncos game, and that kind of, now that we see how they are and they've played lately, that annoys me that they would admit to that, because you're not even halfway through a season and you're feeling yourself to the point where you thought you could sleepwalk through a team. Like, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but what have you earned to even have that type of thinking? What, because you're on a little 5-game winning streak? Like, you think you can go and sleep?
You beat the Eagles and the Giants and the Panthers, and
I'm like,
yeah, I mean.
It just annoyed me to hear him say that. Like, I'm just you. Oh, you thought you were too good to take the Denver Broncos seriously, and the season hasn't looked the same since. That's crazy to me.
It was two things. First of all, Dan says here on a super chat, start Joseph over Brown. Anthony Brown was awful. I would still not start Kelvin Joseph over him. By the way, that was ridiculous. He got ejected in this game. I mean, but another part of the ridiculousness that was this game from a penalty standpoint. It was two things. Two things got the britches, or them too big for the britches, Tony. One, that they won in New England. They won in New England. They beat Bill Belichick, even though it was without Tom Brady. They did it in overtime, walk-off game winner. CD did the bye-bye. You know what I mean? Like, that was what the Raiders are feeling right now. That was exactly, how the Raiders are feeling today. The other thing was that they won without Dak Prescott. And we crowned them for that. And because it was fair, we said, man, this team has never been able to do this. With Dak, with Tony Romo, without their starting quarterback, they are worthless. They are clearly different than that, but they're not. I mean, it's just the Vikings are trash, or like at times this season. Like, it's you're right. It's hilarious that they, and I respect that they are honest enough to admit that they, were a little bit cocky against the Broncos. But yeah, like what have you done to just feel like you can show up against anybody?
It's crazy, like you said. Yeah, the NFL is it's a weird league. It's all about parity. So going to Minnesota with Cooper Rush, nope, you're playing with house money. You win that game, fine. You walk into Denver thinking you smell like roses, and you go in there and you get curb stomped, and you know what I mean. So uh, but this team hasn't won anything. This team hasn't even been to a championship game. And I'm a huge Dak supporter, but I just thought that was a strange thing to say. Like, we were feeling ourselves. We were a little. We thought we could walk in. I'm just like, why? Already, y'all. I mean, you're in year 2 of a new regime, and you're in a 5-game winning streak, and this team hasn't earned anything, and we're talking like that. So I'm just like, whoa, wait a minute here.
Have you ever, Tony, seen the movie 21?
Yes.
About the MIT students that gamble and stuff. Okay, so anyway, it's got what is the main actress's name? It's escaping me right now. Whatever. It's got Kevin Spacey. He plays the professor that teaches them how to gamble in the movie. I don't know if you're looking it up, but she's a very famous actress who's like the lead in this movie. And it's the guy from Across the Universe is also in this movie. But the
Kate
premise
Bosworth?
of the movie, Kate Bosworth, thank you. The premise of the movie is kids at MIT study how to count cards when it comes to gambling, and they go to Vegas every weekend. They live it up, the 21-year-old lifestyle. They count cards and make a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. But they're counting cards, so there's like a strategy to what they're doing. And the main character, the guy that is in Across the Universe, I don't know his name, but so he reaches a point where he's like he's liking the lifestyle, Tony. He's into it. They go to Vegas. They're staying at Caesar's Palace. They're getting bottle service. They're just they're living large. And so he has an off day, and he goes to the tables, and he's no longer counting cards. He's just attacking the board. He's just going at it and whatever. And he loses a bunch of money. And the professor comes in and he scolds him and he says, "What you're doing is no longer playing. You are gambling." And that's different. That's a different emotion, right? You're no longer being strategic. You're just operating completely off of emotion. And there was a switch that flipped for the Cowboys this season at some point, maybe after that Vikings game, where they were no longer counting cards, so to speak, and they just started gambling and doing silly things like configuring the formations of their offensive line mid-game.
I mean, the analogy is perfect to me. It makes you have a way with words, RJ. You have a future, but so it's right. I mean, now you say continuity, you switch up the offensive line, you win a few games, you go in, you don't take the Denver Broncos seriously, you beat you beat the Vikings with Cooper Rush, and now you're like, wow, like we are as good. We're drinking our own tea, we're drinking our own Kool-Aid here. I just, as much as we always talk about like the mojo moments and Mike McCarthy, having the sauce for this team and saying and doing all the right things, where is the conversation to say, guys, we haven't earned anything. We haven't done anything. This is October. This is November. We haven't done a thing. And it's just mind blowing to me, because now, fast forward to present day, 7-4, you are what your record says you are. The NFC East is now getting a little hairy. 1 seed out of the window, 2 seed unrealistic. Now we're just hoping to not get caught in that 4 seed. And now you look at who the Eagles are playing and look at your schedule, and you don't feel supremely confident like you did before. And we're in a totally different mind state moving forward than we were a few weeks ago.
7-4 sounds so much worse when you remember that they were 6-1. You know what I mean? Like that's like when you and we know they've lost 3 of their last 4, but when you say it that way, by the way, I do see that we have an Eagles fan troll, Big Sexy. What's up, Big Sexy? In the chat. Big Sexy, your team got manhandled by this team. Didn't even take them to overtime. So let's just be very clear about that. But we're all New York Giants fans. We did, by the way, put Big Sexy in timeout for anybody who is concerned about the well-being of Big Sexy. Tony, what do you? I'll ask you 2 final questions, and I would like everyone's. This is group therapy. What do you want to hear? Actually, we'll save that question. What would piss you off to hear? You mentioned how you were upset that they came out. They said we overlooked the Bronx. But what would piss you off that is practical to possibly hear from them this week? Hear from the Cowboys as they try to explain away the loss as they get ready for New Orleans.
I don't want to hear the cliches. I don't want to come out and hear the coach speak. I don't want to hear just like, going through the motions, like the normal stuff. I want somebody to come and have some honesty. What is going on? What is in the mindset of this team? What is really the issue here? I want Dak Prescott to go on that podium. And I love Micah Parsons' like youthfulness, because you feel like he's just so, I'm just going to be me. Like, and I'm going to tell you how it is. And like, I want him to go up there and be like, yeah, I'm a 22-year-old kid. I don't know what this feels like. I'm just going out flying around. So I just want to see some realness. I want these guys to look at themselves in the mirror, and I want them to have some accountability. And I think we're in a pivotal moment in the season, because this could really go south or it could get back on track. But right now we are off the rails.
I don't want to hear the aggressive hubris that we heard from Mike McCarthy last year, right? That oh, that's fantasy football, or oh, whatever. I mean, Mike McCarthy got snipey last year when things sucked. I don't want to hear that when it comes to explaining the offensive line configuration. I don't want to hear like, well, that's how that's how elite teams do. We have confidence. Whatever. No, I want to hear you say, we tried it, it didn't work. That's on us. Well, whatever. And you can't say anything that's going to make you feel good about it. But I don't want to hear the hubris and the lashing out. That's what we heard last year when crap hit the fan, so to speak. We do have a super chat here, by the way. It says, thanks for the L from an Eagles fan. Michael McFarland. It's true, Michael, that the Cowboys lost and that does benefit the Eagles. But what is also true is that you literally gave us your hard-earned money to say that. So we appreciate you supporting the cause, Blogging the Boys, a universe completely dedicated to celebrating and rejoicing the Dallas Cowboys. So thank you for helping us keep the lights on, Michael McFarland. You are today's MVP for being a true supporter of a Dallas Cowboys blog. What do you to flip the question to end on a positive note, Tony? What would you like? I mean, it doesn't have to be something you hear, maybe something you see, maybe your answer is an Eagles loss. I mean, but what would make the time between now and next Thursday night, hopefully after the Cowboys beat the Saints, better?
Well, an Eagles loss wouldn't hurt, right? I love when they lose. If they lose every week, I'll be a happy man. But at the same time, I am going to lean to the fact that I really do think some of these reinforcements are coming back. I think DeMarcus Lawrence he's like a dog on a chain right now. He's ready to get after it, and this slowly but surely. I mean, by all accounts, it seems like CeeDee Lamb was cleared to play in this game. They just, they didn't play him, just to help him out, but he'll be back. Amari Cooper is expected to be back, so there are weapons coming around. And if you're gonna say, Dak needs, X, Y, and Z to be successful, which I don't think is entirely the truth, it doesn't hurt to have all your horses ready to go. And this may very well be the first time that the offense has all 11 starters on the field. And you know what? Right now, it's about as bad as it can get right now. I wouldn't say as bad as it can get, but it looks pretty bad right now. And the Saints game, they got to lock in. It's got to be a get right game. And, at the same time, we got to get back on track here.
I want to hear somebody say what you say. I want to hear somebody say, we haven't won anything. I want to hear somebody say, we were 6-1. You know, we have blown it. We had a chance to do something. We can still right the ship and steady the waters and figure things out, but we lost some ground. And to be fair, they earned the luxury of ground. They have kind of pissed it all away, so to speak. But I want to hear that self accountability, and that's what we haven't really heard. I think we heard deflection after the Broncos game, because that was like that was almost blaming like the world, right? Well, y'all gassed us up and we just bought it. You know what I mean? Like, no, no, no. I want to hear you say that you dropped the ball, that you let the Eagles back into this conversation, that you lost the ability to potentially host the NFC Championship game, on and on and on and on. So it is what it is. I think I know a lot of you said things like I want to see Anthony Brown cut, Greg Zuerlein cut, etc. That ain't gonna happen. I'm hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just it's not gonna happen. So Tony, any final thoughts?
Final thought for me is we talked about it on a 2-minute warning podcast. 7-4 is going to give us some content, and it's some things we don't want to talk about. There's some tough conversations, and we're having them, and we're living that reality right now.
Yeah, that's well said. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on our post-game show. Again, it was a little bit different in terms of setting, environment, and whatnot. Thank you, Tony, for joining us. Tony's on Twitter at Tony_Catalina. Go follow him. Great Cowboys takes, great Cowboys insider, great podcast host, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, Tony, speaking of Twitter, if anyone has not followed us on Twitter, please do so. We are at Blogging the Boys. And yesterday, on Wednesday, prior to my son's birth, we passed, Tony, 100,000 followers on the Blogging the Boys Twitter account. So thank you to everyone who chooses to make us a part of your Cowboys content consumption. I do appreciate the congratulations for you all on the birth of our son, my wife and I. It's been a fun, week. Obviously, the Cowboys loss isn't something we wanted to deal with there. But it's a time of thanks and Thanksgiving, obviously. So I'm obviously thankful for my son, thankful for you, Tony, thankful for all of our loyal listeners and viewers and readers. I know I speak for everybody at Blogging the Boys. And so, hey, they'll be back next week, So, but this will be a long week, but get the Christmas decorations up. Hopefully you score some deals on the retail side of things. Tony, you buying anything? You buying anything? You want a game, power washer? What you looking for?
I just bought a house not too long ago, so I'm going to be, looking for those house type things, All
right, everybody, let's send Tony on Twitter the links to Keurigs or anything of the sorts. Maybe let's get him some smart outlets. Those will change your life, dude. You can just turn lamps on and off from your phone.
I love that.
But everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving.